Hey, hi. We just did. Yeah.
I'm gonna sign today.
We just went back over binary and ternary ionic ones. They're the ones, oh, I didn't freeze my screen. They're the ones that are the more complicated. You have to remember charges and crisscross. And if you have a polyatomic, they need parentheses. Huh? There, let me fix it. Why do I make stuff complicated? No, I don't know.
Oh, I make it.
Let me change it to a text box. Well, that's the notes. Oh my Lord, my computer is so slow. It's just, no, it's the bandwidth here. No, I did not mean to make it a file upload. I meant to make it a text box, so. Oh, I heard a boop. Hold on. I gotta fix the opener so you guys can, I know. All right, let's double check online. I have Alexis.
There's like 3 more Mondays.
That was somebody, I heard, was that Luke? Or was that Lucas? Somebody just did something. Caitlin,
I said 15. You said 16.
Lucas,
I said 15 to Christmas. You said 16.
Luke,
You said 16.
Sahara, Sebastian, Slate, Veronica. No, today's 10. I don't see anything in the chat. Somebody was trying to get my attention in the Google Meet, and there's nothing in the chat for me to look at. All right. I fixed the opener, so let me get started with this. Turn off the light. This is the easier set. The moleculars. This is the type that uses prefixes.
So it's easy, like the whole thing.
It's way easier. It's way less complicated. Let's put it that way than ionics. So if we go back to moleculars, which is something that is made up of only nonmetals, so it does not start with a metal, and your first element only has one, does it get a prefix?
Yeah.
No. Okay, so I'm gonna put a couple of different ones on here. Okay, what I just wrote on the board, because you guys can't see it online, was a capital C and a capital O with no subscripts. It is made up of carbon and oxygen. In fact, both of the ones, the other one that I put on the board underneath it's a capital C, a capital O with a subscript too. Still made up of carbon and oxygen. When you have only nonmetals, your first thing does not have a subscript. You do not give it a prefix. So both of these are going to start with carbon. Well, I would write carbon. And we do not change the ending of the first element. If the second element only has one, does it get a prefix?
Yeah.
Yes, your second nonmetal, the second thing will always get a prefix. How do we say one? Mono. Now with oxygen, you don't write 2 O's, so we drop one of them. So mon, ox, and what's the ending going to be? Ide. This is still going to be an oxide. So how do you say the number 2? Di. Ox, that is a D. Hi. It depends on the subscript. It is, if you have, let me put one that's more complicated up here. Let's see, let's take a look at the thing that's on the list. Find one that's complicated.
So what is mono?
Mono means one. So if I do one like this.
So if the first one is like,
If I'm about to do one like that. So what I'm writing on the board, this is one of the ones that's on the homework paper too. No, not NI. N205. If you do have a prefix, I mean a subscript after the first element, you have to tell me how many. And the way it goes is, if you have a prefix, the prefix, so how do we say two? Di, do you change the ending of nitrogen?
No.
Not for the first element you don't. So nitrogen,
So the first element you don't change.
you do not change the ending to I. This is the second element changes to I.
And there's, okay, so only the second element will change that.
Right, and the second one will always get a prefix even if it's one. The first one will only get a prefix if it's more than one.
Okay,
So how do you say five?
um,
Penta. But because it's oxygen, we drop a vowel, so pos. What did we say it ends in?
I got it.
And I know for those of you that are remote, you can't see me drawing on the dry erase. If for some reason we go completely remote, I'm gonna have to invest in a larger dry erase, and then hopefully, as I'm writing on it through the camera, it's not reversing the image, because I haven't had to do that forever. All right, molecular compounds. This is short. This is as short, if not shorter, than the one from 2 days ago. Moleculars only, or covalent. If you hear me say either word, they mean the same thing. It is just nonmetals. There are no metals in these things. This is the much easier one to do. What? Never mind.
I was about to ask, what if the second one doesn't have a substance?
The second element will always get a prefix. You're going to name the first element. If it's carbon, it's just carbon. If it's sulfur, it's just sulfur. But then you're going to look to see if it has a subscript. If it does have a subscript, it's going to be more than one, and you have to tell me how many. If there is not a subscript on the first element, then that means one, and you do not give it a prefix. The same thing is true with the second element, but it will always get a prefix, and it's always going to end in I. It is the same thing. Look at now, if I mix them all together, you need to figure out if you're starting with a metal or a non-metal first, because these rules only work if they're all non-metals.
All non-metals?
All non-metals,
So
which is to the right of the staircase, and it does include hydrogen. To the right of the staircase.
I can make sure
Prefix, name of the element, if there's prefix, name of the element, change the second one to I. We're going to work through some sample
Oh,
problems.
that's pretty easy.
Okay, these are all molecular compounds. I know that because I am looking at this first element, and if it is a non-metal, which carbon is, I just did this one on the board for those of you that are online. We'll work through this in just a minute.
No, because are you going to trigger stuff on the assignment and put like some other things?
I do not make the test, Ms. Cowan does, and yes, they get mixed up.
No, I'm like the assignment.
The assignment today should all be molecular. The entire thing is molecular. I'm double checking it right now because I don't want to lie to you, but I don't see any non-metals worth starting with. Erase all these here. All right, so the first one on this top left, this is carbon. Does carbon get a prefix?
No.
No, because there's only one of them. You do not change the ending of the first element. Most of you will fly through today's paper and you'll probably get them right. If you did not finish that virtual lab to roll the dice, or if you were not here, you need to do that. So I know the second thing is bromine, okay, but we don't want it to end in ene. We want it to end in ide. And I also have to say how many of those bromides are attached to it. So how do we say four?
Tetra.
Tetra. Like Tetris. We don't use quad in chemistry. Quad is another way to say four. We don't, just like seven, we use hept, not sept. They're both acceptable prefixes that mean that. We just, in chemistry, we use hepta. Okay, I noticed when I was grading your stuff, and yes, I go through and read what you wrote. Y'all, chlorine, this is not an I. This is a lowercase l. This is not a 1. Chlorine is capital C, lowercase l. I've got chlorine, then I've got oxygen. Now, this is not the right answer. I just identified what the elements were. Now, I'm not going to change chlorine, but do I change the oxygen's ending?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the next step I'm going to do. Now I'm going to come back and put the prefixes on. You got to tell me, there's more than one. You got to tell me two. How do you do two? Di. And 7 is hepta, but we drop the A with oxygen.
So in some cases, you I knew I did.
You just do with oxygen. If your prefix ends in O or A and you're putting it on oxygen, you drop. You don't drop the O for oxygen, you drop the A or the O from the prefix. I think that was an online question. Did you had a question over here? No?
That makes no sense.
What makes no sense?
Like, why you have to drop?
It's just that you just don't do the two vowels next to each other, but you do not drop an I if it was try. Oh, I see more people online.
So if it was penta, you'd still have to drop it.
You don't drop the O, you drop the A. So it's not
Yeah.
pentaoxide, it's pentoxide. But you
So
do
what
not
if it was mono?
monoxide, not monooxide. 1 O, not 2.
So
You drop the O or the A from the prefix. Okay, I see Declan.
So you have to drop one from everything?
Just the A and the O prefix endings with oxygen. That's the only element that does that.
So just oxygen.
Just oxygen. Okay, hold on, let me double check. It's Tatiana. All right, let me go back into the notes. All right, so once again, because some people just showed up, we identify the elements. Now, I don't do it step by step because I've done chemistry for forever and I know how to do it, but you don't change the ending of the first element, but you do change the ending of the second element. Your elements are going to get prefixes that are assigned by their subscript, and the subscript is the beginning of the word. If you only have one, like the carbon did over here, then it does not get a prefix. But if there's more than one, it does have to have a prefix, and the second thing will always get a prefix. Now, I know this is nitrogen and this is oxygen. Easy part. What does this change into? IDE. Right? 2 is di, so I'm going to do dinitrogen. This is penta, but we drop the A when we put it with the oxide, so it is literally read as dinitrogen pentoxide. Subscript, element, ide. Okay, if there's no subscript here, he doesn't get a prefix. So I'm not going to change the nitrogen. I am going to change the oxygen to oxide. Do you say mono? For nitrogen, do you say mono if it's the first thing? No, but do you have to use mono on the oxygen? But you drop one of the O's. This is one of the ones that's on your homework paper. Let's see. You can probably finish this one in class. Nitrogen, this one is on your homework paper. The other two are not. Okay, do we want paper copies of this? I am assuming. Yes, or do you want to do it online? You want a paper copy? I am about to pass a bunch of stuff back. You should have already turned in the binary, which was from Monday, and the ternary, which was from Tuesday. I'm about to pass all that back. Or go pass back stuff. I don't think it. But you guys are talking to it. But the roll the dice virtual lab, once again, if you did not do that yesterday, you need to finish that. But I do expect most people to go this week. But are there? What? Wood ironing the compound CA3.
Chill out.
Please use the molecular rules. Is calcium a metal or an ion? Well, on the left-hand side is a metal, so it does not get prefixes. if it starts with a metal, and I'll, give me a second, I'll show you one more time on the, I lost my choice. You normally use those lines? You normally use. Okay. I lost the charger for my star pointer. It was dying.
What?
My good laser, I don't know where I put my charger cable for it. This one. All right, so staircase is here. Okay, right here. Above Jared's head. Okay, right here. Stop it. It's on this side and down here. If it starts with that, then it's ionic rules, which is all that annoying charges and parentheses and crisscrossing. If it's to the right of the staircase and this one, then those are non-metals. And if it starts with one of those, it's the prefix rules. Today's paper is all prefix rules. Now, are there are questions with how I did this because this is the much less complicated naming system. The, which one now? This, stop throwing things. The assignment is all paper. It's equal, it's not it. Okay? Let me pass back the stuff that I have that's graded. Oh. Stop. Uh-huh. I want to do three. How do you do three? Try. TRI. You know what? I need to do like attendance in person. Let me pause this. Nona. Nona is 9.